it's been a hot second since I posted on this channel, but I just wanted to kind of do a very basic video about my pet tarantulas and keeping tarantulas as a pet. So I have two of my absolute favorite tarantulas with me. I'm going to try to pick it up without making him run away and hide. So this is the first tarantula that I ever got, and I have him in a small tarantula crib. I believe this is the small, not the medium. And I really can't tell you what the dimensions are. But a lot of people ask me if tarantulas even make good pets. And my answer to that would be yes, especially if you have like teenagers, maybe even younger kids who want a pet that doesn't come with a ton of responsibility like a dog or a cat. Even like lizards, because these guys are easy. So I'm gonna kind of show you what I have going on and talk a little bit about what they need. Okay, so this is Stevie. He is a Brachypelma smithy is what he was sold to me as. So he's probably the most common type or species of tarantula. You can find them a lot of places. Pet stores, reptile expos, Facebook. Like, there's a lot of breeders that really love these species, and for good reason, because they are amazing. I absolutely love the Brachypelma genus. And then over here, he just molted. We have my baby Romeo. And I don't really want to take the lid off because he might hide. But Romeo over here is a Brachypelma classy. And they are typically very expensive and hard to find. I got him from a reptile expo for like, I think like $200 something whenever he was quite a bit smaller actually, and you can really see his colors are coming in amazing. But these are like the very basic setups that I have them in right now. So for a pet tarantula, literally what you need is a container to keep them in, which I'm using the tarantula cribs, but they can be kind of pricey. So you can also use something super easy like a shoebox. I have also used critter keepers. Those are super inexpensive and you can get them from like any pet store. I think Walmart probably even sells them too. But these are like very basic setups. Literally dirt, a water bowl, which I need to refill, and some sort of hide. And it doesn't have to be specifically a reptile hide or tarantula hide. It can just be some wood that they can hide under. Literally whatever you have around. It can be aquarium decorations, pretty much anything. The hard part is really just making sure you know all the requirements for your species, whatever species of tarantula you are wanting to get. So I would recommend doing a lot of research into the species that you like before purchasing, and just know what you're getting yourself into, because they do require different things. Some, like this species, are from like a desert in Mexico. My other species are from tropical rainforest. So those spiders require some more humidity, more water, more misting, versus these guys, they're pretty much fine if you like overflow the water bottle or water bowl like once a month. Like, they're good. Yeah, and they love to put dirt in their water bowls, so have fun cleaning those out. But yeah, that's pretty much the stuff, like the necessities, bare minimum that you need. I would really like to redo their enclosures and kind of add some more decorations, more of like this like moss stuff. I do prefer the green moss over the brown, but I only had the brown. So you can literally decorate a tarantula's enclosure with pretty much anything, as long as it's not something sharp that could hurt them. You can put whatever you want in there. You can make it like a theme. You can give them, you know, lots of open space, or you can fill it up with live plants. You can do pretty much anything you want, which I think is so fun. So yeah, so I currently have 9 tarantulas. They are all New World species, which if you're unfamiliar with that, don't worry. New World tarantulas are a species that come basically from like the North American region, like North America, South America, and then there's some other places. The reason I can't talk, why they're called that is because they have what's called urticating hairs on their abdomen, and they'll kick the hair off whenever they're feeling threatened, and the hairs are kind of like what's that cotton candy in your attic, the fiberglass stuff, where like they get like in your skin and they'll make you really itchy. They'll make you, you know, like have an itchy throat if you inhale them, if you breathe them in. Really bad to get in your eyes. Just really, really irritating. Like you just don't want to have to deal with it. That's pretty much the biggest risk that they pose to people, is those urticating hairs. Nothing that will send you to the hospital, but definitely annoying to deal with. And then obviously they have mouths, so they can bite. New World tarantulas actually do not have the like potency in their venom that an Old World tarantula would have. So typically a New World tarantula, if it does bite you, it's usually the equivalent of like a bee sting, depending on the size of your tarantula and the species that it is. But usually it's like it hurts for a few days and then you're good. So usually it's nothing bad, nothing that will kill you, nothing will send you to the hospital unless you have like some sort of really severe reaction to it. Old World tarantulas, on the other hand, do not have those urticating hairs on their abdomen, so they can be a little more defensive. They're a lot faster, so they'll be more prone to like dart or hide or run. And then since they don't have those urticating hairs, they're a lot more likely to try to bite first. The issue with that is that Old World tarantulas do have really strong venom they are categorized as medically significant, meaning you could have some health issues if you do get bit. People typically will go to the hospital to get like some sort of like steroid if it causes, you know, enough pain. Some people are fine and they just shake it off and let it, you know, ride. Other people will start having really bad like vomiting or nausea, headaches, body aches. It can cause fevers. I do not believe anyone has ever died from a Old World tarantula bite. So not deadly. However, some people may need to get some sort of medical care if they do get bitten by an Old World tarantula. So for that reason, I don't really recommend an Old World as your first tarantula, but that's completely up to you. That is everyone's own decision, so, you know, obviously get something you like. Just make sure that you do plenty of research on the species that you're getting and, you know, the different husbandry that goes along with that. For New World tarantulas, same goes for Old World, but there are tarantulas that prefer to be on the ground on like a flat enclosure that's more long, versus some other tarantulas prefer to climb. So like I have a Carabina versicolor who uses a vertical enclosure that they can like climb up and web around, and they prefer to not be on the ground. However, the two Brachypelmas that I have are ground-dwelling tarantulas, so they need that space to move around, dig, sometimes they'll burrow. And then you also get fossorial tarantulas, who basically like they'll dig little tunnels, and you won't see them out very often because they do hide in their burrows and they spend most of their time there. That's just where they prefer to be. The other thing with tarantulas is so easy. They do not need any sort of, depending on where you live first, they don't need any sort of heat or air conditioning or like a lamp. Depending on where you live, I live in like the Midwest, so temperatures are I mean, our house stays pretty much around 68 to 70. That is fine for them. They are good at room temperature, so unless it's getting like really hot where you live, or if it's really cold, in your house, you may want to just get like a little space heater. But typically they don't require any sort of temperature control or lighting. I haven't heard that lights bother them, so you can feel free if you want to do like cute display lights or whatever on their enclosures, you can do that. I don't think it bothers them, but it's not necessary. So anything like that is just pretty much extra. So no heating and no like lamp necessities. The other thing that I really love about having tarantulas, they're easy. They're quiet. They don't bark. They don't make any noises. Unless you get mature males that are trying to find a mate, sometimes you'll hear them like tapping on the glass because they'll tap with their legs, like trying to get those vibrations to sense a female. But they're silent. I haven't heard any of mine do that. So they're absolutely silent. They only eat like twice a week. And that's like if they're really little. Once they start getting to mature and get bigger, you'll notice like you only have to feed them once a week, and then eventually you can do like every 2 weeks. And again, that kind of depends on the species and size and whatnot, but their diet is really easy. You can find their food at any pet store, reptile expo. They just eat like crickets, and you can feed them hornworms, roaches. I think dubia roaches are probably the most popular food item, and I think I've heard that they are healthier or more nutritional for the tarantula, but I don't know. I've never looked at the nutrition facts of a dubia roach, but that's just what I've heard. So they're super easy to feed, and you don't have to worry about, you know, getting too close to them or, you know, putting your hand in if it makes you scared. You can just grab it with some tweezers and plop it in, and the tarantula will actually find it. Again, you don't want to have like a little itty bitty sling that's like this big, with a dubia roach that's like this size, but that's the only real thing you have to pay attention to, is the size of the prey that you're putting in their enclosure. Apparently, whenever they're molting, they're really fragile, so even a cricket could kill them if they are molting and stuff like that. So you want to be careful with that. Just research it, and make sure you're not giving them anything that is so big that it could be harmful. I have not had any issues. All of my tarantulas have been great eaters. I know everyone recommends brachypelmas as like a genus for beginners, and I totally agree. I have not had any issues with mine eating. Mine are always great eaters. They eat every single meal. But I know some people have said like their brachypelmas do go on hunger strikes. So I'm not sure, because it really depends on your own tarantula, their own behaviors, their own personalities, all of that. But typically it is very, very easy for feeding. The other thing is you don't ever have to clean out their enclosure. You can just add more water or mist it whenever they need more humidity, and they're good to go. Like, they will make their enclosure their own home and kind of move stuff around as they want. So not a huge issue, nothing crazy. As they start to grow, you will need to rehouse them into bigger and bigger enclosures. So I would really recommend making sure you research the adult size of your tarantula first. But whenever they are little slings or spiderlings, babies, you really want to make sure you're not putting them in anything too crazy big, because they can get lost and you may not be able to find them. And also the other thing is that you can put like a cricket or something in there and they may not be able to find it because the enclosure is too big. If the cricket's on the other side of a 10-gallon tank and the spider's an inch big, it may not find that cricket. So that's something else to keep in mind. But in my opinion, rehousings are really fun, so I don't mind. But yeah, tarantulas are really, really easy pets. They're great. I think that they could really teach teenagers and kids like good responsibility, like making sure you remember to feed it. A lot of parents are really scared to get their kids tarantulas, and I will say that there is very little risk of any harm, but I have heard of them getting out, and while they're not necessarily dangerous, they are kind of expensive, and you definitely don't want, you know, something you've spent a lot of money on and that your kid's favorite pet to go missing one day, and then you have to look around the house and try to find it. But that is like the only issue that I've ever heard of people having with them. Other than that, I think they're great for teaching responsibility. You don't have to clean a whole bunch. You just gotta make sure that they have water and food, and they pretty much take care of themselves. And if you are somebody that suffers with like arachnophobia, I also did at one point, and then I got Stevie, my first tarantula, and I spent a good 2 weeks with him locked in my closet, and I was too scared to go in there. But having a pet tarantula and being able to observe them, learn about them, I realized that they're really, really fascinating, and my arachnophobia really started to decline as I started just learning more and kind of getting the chance to observe them up close. Tarantulas are never going to like chase you, try to get you. They would really rather just run and hide. So they don't really pose any sort of risk to us as humans. The only other thing that people are worried about is being able to handle them. And a lot of people think if you have a pet tarantula, you have to be able to handle them, or you have to get them out to play with them. Tarantulas do not like to be handled or played with. So if you are worried about maybe your kid wanting to get it out, or, you know, maybe it getting lost if they're trying to, you know, maneuver it around, tarantulas are actually really fragile. So like the smallest fall could injure them, could break a leg, bust their abdomen, and they could die. So if you have a child that wants to handle them, always handle them on the floor or like over a table or like a surface. And also, they don't have to be handled at all. They don't need playtime or exercise or anything like that. They are perfectly fine being left alone. So if you would rather let your child get one and say, hey, do not take it out of its enclosure, it's too dangerous for the spider, it's too dangerous for you, then that's totally fine. The spider is not going to care. In fact, the spider will probably be grateful. So tarantulas are awesome. They make great pets. So yeah, that's pretty much it for tarantulas. They make fantastic pets, and I will say that it's a very addicting hobby, and it's hard to just get one and then stay at one. I thought I was only gonna have one, and now I have 9. So tarantulas are just, they're great pets. They're so easy, and yeah. So if you have a collection of tarantulas, or maybe just one tarantula, feel free to drop in the comments your favorite species, or what you have, or what you're looking at getting. If you want me to elaborate on anything in this video, because this was like a very quick kind of overview, I will definitely be happy to elaborate on some of that. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Sorry this was kind of very fast and very brief. But yeah, thank you for watching. Please comment below if there's anything else that you're curious about or want to know, and I will try to respond and hopefully be able to elaborate on some of these topics. Thanks.